right, thank you again for speaking with me, taking time out of your day to talk about your car. Go ahead and state your name and tell me your ride. What are we looking at?
Okay, so my name is Michael LaPaglia, and we have a 2022 Ford GTLM Ford GT.
Now, I've already done a little bit of the research. One of 20.
Mm-hmm.
I know that this is an extremely special car.
Mm-hmm.
Can you just walk us through the process? How is it trying to even get one of these, getting on the list, knowing who you know? I know when the Ford GT first came out, even celebrities couldn't even get them. You couldn't resell them after a year. Tell us the process of attaining the most amazing machine on this planet right now.
Yeah, it's a process for sure. I'm sure everybody knows that you had to fill out an application. And, Ford looked at a lot of different things, what type of Ford you own, if you're originally a GT owner, which we are, and, kind of like your background with Ford. They find out everything about you. Luckily we owned, from a Raptor to a Focus ST to a, different Mustangs. They had the Boss 302S, the Boss 302, the Shelby GT350 when it came out. So, it kind of rose your status. But, it was a selective process, and I'll tell you that it took us 4 years to get one. So what that means is through all of our racing and company and everything we do, that's Ford. We somehow got denied the first time, which was painful to swallow. But just kind of kept at it, kept persistent. Wasn't really well connected like with the whole Ford GT forum guys. But I don't know. The Ford gods were looking down and blessed us to get allocated this car. Just so happens to be a Ford GTLM, which we're super, super proud to own, and
Absolutely.
proud to bring out here and have it here in town in Marietta, and just showcase it and just share it with everybody that's a car enthusiast. So.
Now, do they tell you, like, we want you to attend these Ford GT meets? Do they want you to attend track events, or how? I know that this is almost a promotional car for them, right? An ultra halo car. Are there any stipulations to driving this car, owning this car?
So there's no like stipulations that could like revoke your ownership of it, I guess. But they definitely want you to drive the car. They want you to take it to Cars and Coffee, like you said. They want you to do as much as you can with it, and we're honoring that. We raced this car right here, which is a Ford car. We raced a Mustang, and we'd be damned if we're going to park this thing in the garage and just let it sit there with no miles on it. So we try to drive it as often as we can. We just got it in early February, so it's been raining a lot out here. We haven't had a whole lot of time to put on it, but nonetheless, Ford wants you to do that. They want you to go out there, like you said. It's their crown jewel kind of car. So we're just super fortunate and super thankful and honored to be able to own this thing.
That's amazing, and it sounds like you've been all in with the Blue Oval. I mean, tell us why or where did this kind of stem from? You kind of chose the brand and you went all out. How is this? My mom's the same way, but she only has a Ford Edge. Yeah. Right? But why the Blue Oval?
I mean, I get it from my dad, and it's just a piece of American history. I mean, when it comes down to it, I mean, we're proud patriots of America, and Henry Ford, the revolutionist, the iconic. I mean, there's not enough to say about him. He just is so much a part of America, and I think that just speaks highly of the foundation of our country, and I think that's kind of the basis of what my dad believes in. And these days, and Ford's always been all about racing. They're all about performance. They're not about copying. They're about developing, in my opinion. They're about coming up with like the latest and greatest, the best. When they won the Le Mans in the 60s, and when they came back in 16, which is more my generation, it was just amazing. They just I just feel like they're the leader of the automotive industry in America. I think that they're innovative, and I'm just proud to drive the Blue Oval. That's all I ever drive. That's all my wife drives. That's all my kids are ever going to drive. That's all we drive, period. So no questions about it, and I think that's just where we get the passion for it.
I appreciate it, and you can tell just by the words you use, you do have a passion for that brand and for that car, and I really appreciate that for what you're saying. Now, you've mentioned you own the race car. You've gone out racing. Could you tell us maybe one or two things you've learned driving an actual race car, building it from the ground up, and that kind of lifestyle of hooking it up to the travel trailer, going to Sonoma, going to these different racetracks, racetracks. How's that been like for you?
It's I mean, again, you just feel like it's such a privilege, I mean, we all watch racing, right? I mean, I'm as big of a racing fan as anybody, and my dad is too, and that's how we, my whole family is. My mom, my brothers. I mean, we breathe racing. I have a long history of racing motocross and supercross, and did that from when I was 3 years old until I was 20. So, racing is kind of in our blood, and then it's we got into the car racing through a guy that just wanted me to drive his car. I'd never been on a road course before, but had a long racing background with motocross, and racing's racing. It all transfers over. But we had a steep learning curve with the car, and thankfully we met Robert and Richard Pampini. And they were so versed and so educated in the Mustang, and that's the first car we raced was a Boss 302S, and then we graduated to an FP 350S. We raced with the Trans Am series. Then from there up to the TA2 class, which is a tubular purpose-built race car, so similar to like a NASCAR with a big rear wing on it. And it's been a steep learning curve, but it's what we love, right? It's just the weekends that we spend. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of preparation. It's a lot of travel. It's a lot of everything. But there's just nothing more satisfying than going out and executing a good race weekend. And it kind of like, I don't want to say like win or lose because you're always going to have to win, but it's just putting the pieces of the puzzle together and getting to the races and executing practice, qualifying, strategizing with tires and fuel and weight and setup and everything like that. Like I said, it's been a steep learning curve with the new car, the TA2, but I guess, we're always kind of learning. I think racers are always trying to learn. They're always trying to get better. Even when you win a race, you kind of critique yourself and, want to do better for the next one. So
I think that's you're always challenging yourself to get to that next level. A couple more questions. You've mentioned that racing and you mentioned the practice. In your opinion, what is the quickest way? I've heard karting is a very good way to kind of get better at racing, but what have you found out or learned?
So my path to road racing is so different from a lot of people. Well, I say that, but motocross. I mean, motocross is a lot cheaper. It's a lot more convenient. Motocross isn't cheap, don't get me wrong, but it's a lot cheaper than driving cars. Right. It's a lot more convenient. You've got a lot of tracks around here. The great Jimmy Johnson, grew up racing dirt bikes, and it's just weird how you get such a feel for setup for racing, your racecraft, your mindset, everything like that it all comes, whether you race go-karts or race motocross or race bicycles or, kind of almost anything. It's just, so for me, I'm biased, of course, because that's how I grew up. That's all I know. But I had a go-kart, but we just kind of used it as like a cross training for motocross, like back when I was a kid, we're talking 8, 9 years old, like, nothing serious, but I mean, just get your kids in racing. I mean, just BMX racing to start off, racing the kids around the neighborhood, graduate to motocross, get a shifter cart if you want. But, I think motocross is a great way to introduce kids to racing, and that transfers over to anything.
And I'm in Menifee, and I know that was one of the few, earlier birth places of motocross. So that's awesome to hear. Last question before we get the next car on the dyno. California wants to transition to electrification in the next 15 to 20 years. What are your thoughts of electric cars and kind of the future of the car culture?
I think a lot about that, but I actually drive a hybrid F-150. I have the Power Boost F-150, and to me, I think that's the best of both worlds. You've got an engine, a combustion engine that charges a battery, that increases your MPG. You run off the battery. I think of the 40,000 miles I have on my truck, 7,500 of those have been all electric. So that means 7,500 miles of my driving has been done all electric without burning fossil fuels, whatever you want to call it. But I don't like the electric cars. I don't understand how we're expected to charge electric cars and have the capacity that we need when we can't even keep the lights on and can't even do things throughout the summertime in California as it is. Our power grid is not strong enough to even run it as it is now. So I don't really know like what their take is on that. I feel like it's kind of like a bluff, which is kind of funny, but I just feel like they set an unrealistic goal, and it's going to take everybody to comply with that. And if people don't comply, like, what are they going to do? Like, Like you can't, not everyone's going to own a Tesla and plug it into their house when they can't charge their car, and like people have to go to work and people have to do things. And so I don't know. I don't really buy into it, and I'll kind of deal with it once it comes. But, as far as I'm concerned, I think it's going to take a lot of that. Obviously it's going to take away that traditional feel and sound and noise and, smell of racing. And that's what I think is going to be a big loss. But it is what it is, and I don't know. We have to deal with it when it comes. But for right now, man, I'm burning as much gas as I can in this Ford GTLM.
Yeah, hey, I think we all are. Go ahead and give out any shout outs, thank yous, props. Go ahead and do so now.
I mean, just the Pampini's Garage down here in Murrieta, they've helped us so much. The kids are great. I call them kids; they're 30 years old, but they work hard, and they're so supportive of me and my racing. And we travel and get to spend a lot of time together. They're great guys, and they do fantastic work down here. They really know their stuff when it comes to Mustangs and really any cars. But I just want to thank them for putting on this Cars and Coffee, and glad we can bring out a couple cool cars to contribute to the rest of the cool cars that are here. And that's it.
All right. I thank you again for your time. I really appreciate it.